We are live.
Hey, happy Friday. It means we made it through a whole week, and luckily I'm feeling better. You'll occasionally see that I bruise like an old man, and that is from 2 weeks ago at a hospital. It is still going strong. It might be gone by the time Ice and Firecon gets here. But
Are you
before
on?
I
Are
forget,
you on blood thinner or aspirin or anything?
yeah, blood thinner and aspirins. Um,
Ah,
yeah. Before I forget, because I usually do, I am old new dude. He is,
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
and this is the Clash of Kings Brand 4. That's a really good chapter. Um, if you've seen any of these, you know we start with the brains of the operation, which is Richard, and he will say what he saw in the chapter, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff. But before we begin, um, when I did the live stream the other night on the Girl Nettles YouTube channel, I had
Yep.
a blue, uh, 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 just a blue Renaissance Festival type shirt and a vest, and of course I had the hat. Oh my goodness!
Hey,
But
baby, calm down. Stand up.
um,
Come here.
I told him I was dressed as Ice and Firecon casual, and Charles gave me a hard time about the cowboy hat. Said that's not game or Song of Ice and Fire casual. And I pointed out to him that House Dairy had cows, lots and lots of cows. They had to wrangle those cows,
Yeah,
and
and Rob drives the cattle back from the Westlands to the
yeah.
Riverlands.
So I mean,
They need
they're
feed.
cowboys in this story, not necessarily knowing that they have cowboy hats, but when I'm in costume, like as Ned or as Davos, I will not be wearing the hat. But it's kind of my trademark. So when I'm on a panel or walking around the con, the hat stays. But Charles
That's
just
good.
gave me a hard time, so.
Well, I mean,
And
you could. Lizzie says it's okay, dude. Just cosplay as Courtney Love meets Cersei, and those bruises will make all the sense. Wear it as a badge of honor.
I'm telling you, man. We were talking about it. Actually, me and Lizzie were talking about it earlier. I have no friends outside of online friends. Absolutely none. The only people I know in North Carolina I'm related to, we like different stuff. Um, they're more of a certain type of redneck, and I'm a recovering redneck, so we don't really see eye to eye on a lot of things, especially politics. But I am looking forward so much to meeting the online friends at Ice and FireCon. Lizzie, among you, Lady Thistle. I mean, I'm so excited to meet people in real life, to sit down and have a conversation that's not on camera, to talk to shit, to share a drink, to share experience of Ice and FireCon. Because Lizzie's never been, I've never been, so it's new
I
to
know,
me,
man.
it's new to her. Uh, but
I bought I bought tickets the year that they canceled. You know, that's the only thing I've ever done. So yeah, I never been there.
I really really can't wait. So anybody that watches this, the 6 or 7 that does, uh, if you haven't bought tickets and you can go to Ice and FireCon, I've watched some videos on what goes on there. I've talked to people that tells me what happens when you're there. It's worth checking into. Uh, I know they're not doing one next year, and I've heard that this might be the last one. Period. I know, Lizzie. I'll shut my mouth. Uh, but we're hoping that it's not the last one. So if we can get it in the works to where it's not the last one, that'd be great. But sorry, went off on a rant. I know you got a lot to cover here for a short chapter, but take it away, Richard.
All right. So in this chapter, Bran receives a prophecy. Mira moved in a wary circle, her net dangling loose in her left hand, the slender three-pronged frog spear poised in her right. Summer followed her with his golden eyes turning, his tail held stiff and tall, watching, watching. Yai! The girl shouted, the spear darting out. The wolf slid to the left and leapt before she could draw back the spear. Mira cast her net, the tangles unfolding in the air before her. Summer's leap carried him into it. He dragged it with him as he slammed into her chest and knocked her over backward. Her spear went spinning away. The damp grass cushioned her fall, but the breath went out of her in an oof. The wolf crouched atop her. Bran hooted, "You lose!" "She wins," her brother Jojen said. Summer snared. He was right, Bran saw. Thrashing and growling at the net, trying to rip free, Summer was only ensnaring himself worse. Nor could he bite through. Let him out. Laughing, the Reed girl threw her arms around the tangled wolf and rolled them both. Summer gave a piteous whine, his legs kicking against the cords that bound them. Mira knelt, undid a twist, pulled to the corner, tugged deftly here and there, and suddenly the direwolf was bounding free. Summer to me! Brent spread his arms. Watch! He said an instant before the wolf bowled into him. He clung with all his strength as the wolf dragged him, bumping through the grass. They wrestled and rolled and clung to each other, one snarling and yapping, the other laughing. In the end, it was Bran sprawled on top, the mud-spattered direwolf under him. Good wolf, he panted. Summer licked him across the ear. Mira shook her head. Does he never grow angry? Not with me. Bran grabbed the wolf by his ears, and Summer snapped at him fiercely, but it was all in play. Sometimes he tears my garb, but he's never drawn blood. Your blood, you mean? If he'd gotten past my net, he wouldn't hurt you. He knows I like you. He will grow angry. Mayhaps Bran doesn't like Jojen the same way.
A quick thing on that. I know it's been discussed before about the color of the wolf's eyes, and then Shaggy Dog's being more significant because they're green eyes, correct?
Yeah. Hey, calm down. Yes.
They heard me talking about Shaggy Dog, got excited.
Yeah.
What if the three-eyed crow, which I believe is a different person than Bloodraven, had set Bloodraven up with the wrong brother? What? Because I mean, I don't know.
I mean, Jojen specifically can tell that Summer is stronger than Shaggy Dog. He specifically says that he can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, but when they put the significance of the eye colors as far as green series,
I know. I'm just yeah, right. I mean, yeah. Maybe he was thinking about it. Maybe who knows? I mean, but
because as far as we know,
as we said, he always seems to keep his options open and keep things ambiguous. And so has he planted some seeds in that direction? Maybe.
Well, I mean, just look at the death of Ned. Bran has the advantage of having tree dreams and three-eyed crow dreams, but Rickon was there before him, and as far as we know, he doesn't have a guide. He doesn't have somebody or something helping.
One of the things I think is going to go on with Rickon is that he's actually going to get immersed in his wolf, right? I actually think he's going to lose himself and become more and more of Shaggy Dog and be just this wild wolf child. For sure, your dogs make Baggins feel brave. You can make all the brave noises, but there's nobody to actually face.
That's my kind of brave. I'm a little guy. It's just a thought. I mean, I know people have talked about the eye color of the wolves before.
I mean, I think he's still going to stick with the symbolism of Bran as the as the God King, basically, and so I kind of doubt that's where he's going, but he certainly likes to plant seeds in different directions, and he may have considered the option.
Yeah. Was there something else? Oh yeah, another thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Howland Reed he's dressed exactly like Mira when he goes to Harrenhal. When he leaves the boat, he's got everything that Mira's got on.
Okay.
And she, in a non-angrily way, defeats a damn dire wolf. So I think that's more of a nod that Howland Reed threw the fight with the three squires. That his intention was
he may have been able to see the future and decided,
Well, no, I think he was sent there just specifically to make sure that Rhaegar and Lyanna meet. And to do that, he has to get close to the Starks. So he gets beat up by the three squires that just so happen to be the squires of the three champions that the Laughing Knight can battle and win to start the path down the road for Rhaegar going to look for the Laughing Knight, meeting Lyanna. I mean, I think it's extremely plausible that if he wasn't throwing the fight, that he could have won that fight against those three squires. I mean, that's just what popped in my head. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, certainly we're given how competent Mira is, there's some logic to that, right?
Yeah.
Jojen was so solemn that old Nan called him little grandfather, but Mira reminded Bran of his sister Arya. She wasn't scared to get dirty, and she could run and fight and throw as good as a boy. She was older than Arya, though, almost 16, a woman grown. They were both older than Bran, even though his ninth name day had finally come and gone. They never treated him like a child.
Yeah.
So Bran clearly respects the Reeds and Arya, and in fact, some of that statement actually is almost ambiguous, right? They were both older than Bran, but they never treated him like a child. I know it's supposed to be the Reeds, but he was just talking about Mira and Arya.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, you could almost say that Lizzie says, "Love that dude." You could almost say that he's saying that Mira and Arya never treat him as a child.
Yeah. There's also the theory that Mira is actually a Stark, and comparing her to Arya, actually her description is pretty much Stark-ish. Is also slender, small. We get the brown hair,
well, she's the one that doesn't have the red hair, right?
Right. So I mean I think I like that theory. But I mean just that right there. As soon as he compared her to Arya,
I actually don't like that theory. I don't see any reason why Ned would have broken up if this idea that Jon and Mira are twins. I don't like the idea that why would Ned have broken them up? I mean, I get separating the heirs of the king, right? And we get the Winterfell Maester separating the heirs of the king both times if Triple Targaryens is correct, right? But I don't I don't really like the idea of Ned separating the twins that way.
I'm extremely open on anything that puts more Starks in the story. I'm not saying it's true.
All right. You like the interpretation. Well, let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, if Ashara Dane did go to the neck, like some believe,
right,
her keeping her daughter with her and Ned taking the son is plausible.
Yeah.
If that happens.
And I get that logic, right? The logic there is, well, Howland seems to be kind of obsessed with Ashara. Why is Howland obsessed with Ashara, right? So I think the answer is that he's supposed to be, that the Reeds and the Danes are supposed to be representing the people that still believe in female equality and the old gods. And so, right, so they signify their remembering of Asher as the Dione is how I look at that. But anyway.
Yeah. Sorry.
Dude, nice try sneaking that in. All right. Where were we?
He rolled clumsily.
He rolled clumsily and pushed and squirmed backward using the strength of his arms until he was sitting with his back to the trunk of a tall ash. So a tall ash, because we were just talking about, reminds me of the tall and fair Ashara, named after the goddess with the first name of Ash and the last name of Oak. See Triple Targaryens episode 1. Seriously though, George does often use both Ash and Oak as sort of the proxies for the Weirwoods, right?
Yeah.
And so I really do suspect that those might be references to Asher as the Dione.
Yeah. Now, when him using oak, I think he does that like for King's Landing. They have an oak for their heart tree.
Right.
Could that possibly be that the Weirwoods are corrupted oaks? If that's what they began.
Or Ash, right? I mean,
right.
Because he does both, right? He does both. And, so Dione is a translation of the word a lot. A lot actually means not only the wife of God, but it also means the oak tree. Right. So basically her first name is Ash and her last name is Oak. So my father taught me, we have no knights at Greywater, no master at arms, and no maester. Who keeps your ravens? She smiled. Ravens can't find Greywater Watch, no more than our enemies can. Why not? Because it moves, she told him. Bran had never heard of a moving castle before. Howl's Moving Castle is currently available to stream on HBO Max. The book was published in 1986, so it's clearly a potential reference.
Yeah, another nod to the Ned or Howland Reed being able to fight. He's the one that taught his daughter how to fight.
Right, absolutely.
All right.
You would be most welcome, my prince, then or now. Now? Brandon spent his whole life at Winterfell. He yearned to see far places. I could ask Sir Roderick when he returns. The old knight was off east, trying to set to rights the trouble there. Roose Bolton's bastard had started it by seizing Lady Hornwood as she returned from the harvest feast, marrying her that very night, even though he was young enough to be her son. Then Lord Manderley had taken her castle. To protect the Hornwood holdings from the Boltons, he had written, but Sir Roderick had been almost as angry with him as with the bastard. Sir Roderick might let me go. Maester Lewin never would. May all your bacon burn. So, I mean, sadly, so it begins with with Lady Hornwood.
Yeah.
It would be good if you left Winterfell, Bran. It would? Yes, and sooner rather than later. My brother has the green sight, said Mira. He dreams things that haven't happened, but sometimes they do. There is no sometimes, Mira. A look passed between them. Him sad, her defiant. Tell me what's going to happen, Bran said. I will, said Jojen, if you'll tell me about your dreams. The godswood grew quiet. Bran could hear leaves rustling and Hodor's distant splashing from the hot pools. He thought of the golden man and the three-eyed crow, remembered the crunch of bones between his jaws and the coppery taste of blood. I don't have dreams. Maester Lewin gives me sleeping draughts. Liar! Boo! Boo! I use that curse daily, she says. Anyway, so one thing I noticed there, just as I was reading that, is it sounds an awful lot like Yoda, right? Something about the there is no sometimes reminds me of there is no try. Right?
Yeah.
There is no try, do or do not, right? There is no sometimes. It's kind of the same, got the same vibe, and that it's saying that this may or may not be true, right? And Yoda sort of saying you may or may not succeed is not acceptable. You're going to succeed or you're not going to succeed, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Actually, isn't the very first time that we see him given a potion by Maester Lewin that it fails completely?
Yeah, I think he immediately dreams. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely lying. I mean, he's telling the truth that Maester Lewin gives him sleeping drops. Basically, I don't have dreams. It's clearly a lie.
Yeah.
Mira said, all of Winterfell knows you wake at night shouting and sweating, Bran. The women talk about it at the well and the guards in their hall. So Mira lets Bran know that everyone knows this is false.
Yes.
I dreamed of a winged wolf bound to earth with gray stone chains, he said. It was a green dream, so I knew it was true. A crow was trying to peck through the chains, but the stone was too hard and his beak could only chip at them. Did the crow have 3 eyes? Jojen nodded. When I was little, I almost died of graywater fever. That was when the crow came to me. He came to me after I fell, Bran blurted. I was asleep for a long time. He said I had to fly or die, and I woke up, only I was broken and I couldn't fly after all. You can if you want to. Picking up her net, Mira shook out the last tangles and began arranging it in loose folds. Mira has some really interesting supportive quotes here that aren't all that clearly attributed to her, but if you pay attention, they're clearly her, and they sound more like they would be coming from Jojen.
Right.
Lizzie says, "I really feel for Maester Lewin. They try to make every right choice. Poor Lady Hornwood. Then, surrounded by Boltons, he and Sir Roderick really tried to do the best they could." Yep.
Yeah. On the dreamed of a winged wolf bound to earth by gray stone chains. It was probably about a month ago, maybe a little longer. I know I've said this before. I don't go on Reddit. I went on there once. They were rude, so I've never been on there again. So I was talking to one of the guys that were on Jeff on the book club, and it just dawned on me: gray stone chains. Why add the color gray? And I'm like, well, there's gray stone chains. Is that Maester Lewin holding him back and keep telling him, no, the dreams aren't real. That's the gray stone chains that need to be broken.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because the legend of the Great Wolf is the Wolf Fenrir, and this is where the Tyr, the god of laws and justice, comes from. So Tyr, the god of laws and justice, where Tyrion gets his name, and which is not where the Tyroshi gets their name, by the way. There actually is a city that's famous for like blue dye and stuff like that. That's basically has that name. But unless the city is named after the god, I don't know. But anyway, the the point is that I think Maester Luwin is literally the best example of this. Like, I mean, certainly Davos is about justice, and certainly Golden Hand of Justice, the concept of Damien's Golden Hand of Justice is certainly a tier reference and so forth. But to me, it's Luwin, right? Because he has his arm savaged by Shaggy Dog as he's doing this, right? And so and in the story, what Tyr does is he basically sacrifices his arm, gives his right arm, as the saying goes, right, to in order to bind the Great Wolf with a chain of 6 impossible substances. Okay, and Maester Luwin is the one Maester in 100, as we hear in this chapter, that has Valyrian steel as one of his links. So he has the impossible link in his chain of 7 different materials, right? And so to me, that's the ultimate tier symbolism. I mean, yes, it's the broken arm of Dorne. Yes, it's Jaime. Yes, it's Davos. It's Cat. It's all these, right? All these arm injuries are all meant to be evocative of tier symbolism, just as the eye injuries are Odin, right? Right. But to me, it's Luwin. It's Luwin, and it's this quote, and it's him getting his arm just attacked the last time. When that's in Game of Thrones, right? When they get the end of Game of Thrones, when they get the letter, right? Right. But no, they do refer to that dream here, right? They refer specifically to that dream.
Yeah. Doesn't his arm get savaged in the book when he gets the letter? Got the phrase there? Yeah. Okay.
He got his arm got chewed up when he when in fact, like I said, they're gonna talk about the dream and how that was right in this chapter, right? Yeah. But that, I'm pretty sure that's where he got attacked by Shaggy. I mean, he wanted to chain up the dire wolves, and Osho was like you're not the boss. Anyway, all right. Yeah. Let's continue here, right? Where were we?
Is the
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that Mira is the one that says you can if you want to, right? Picking up her net, Mira should have lost, because it's in the same paragraph where it says picking up her net, Mira should, right? So the implication is that Mira is the one that's saying this. Anyway, right? Is the crow at Greywater? No, the crow is in the north. At the wall, Bran had always wanted to see the wall. His bastard brother John was there now, a man of the Night's Watch. Beyond the wall, Mira Reed hung the net from her belt. So there it is again, where you're thinking that ought to be Jojen saying that, but it sure seems like it's actually Mira. And Lizzie says yes when they're in the crypts. Yeah, yep.
It almost sounds like they're tag teaming.
Yeah, but Mira's totally on board. She's the one that's saying some of the most supportive things here. That Bran can fly, that the beyond the wall, and it's interesting.
It is very interesting, but also it's coming from the person that he likes the best.
Yeah, that's true too.
Definitely out of truth. So I mean, is it somebody weaving some stuff through her, or is it actually?
And notice earlier Bland blurted. It really makes it sound almost like you'd been compelled to say something you didn't really want to say.
Yeah.
With 2 eyes, you see my face. With 3, you could see my heart. With 2, you can see that oak tree there. With 3, you could see the acorn the oak grew from, and the stump that it will one day become. With 2, I think it's always important to note that you can see the future in addition to the past, right?
Yeah.
With 2, you see no farther than your walls. With 3, you would gaze south to the summer sea and north beyond the wall. So you can see the future and the past, and there is no sometimes.
Hey, do me a favor. At the very end of this, remind me to say something about Greywater fever. All right, before I forget.
Okay. Right. He was making Bran angry. I don't have to tell you my dreams. I'm the prince. I'm the Stark in Winterfell. It was only a bad dream. Jojen stood. I felt you fall. Is that what scares you, the falling? The falling, Bran thought. And the Golden Man, the Queen's brother, he scares me too, but mostly the falling. So Bran seems to have his memory.
Yeah. Now he doesn't specifically say being pushed, but he does remember.
Yeah, he knows the falling is afraid of the queen's brother, the golden man. So
Yep,
sure seems
yep.
like he's associating him with it. Mira stepped between the wolf and her brother, spear in hand. Keep him back, Bran. Jojen is making him angry. Mira shook out her net. It's your anger, Bran, her brother said. Your fear. It isn't. I'm not a wolf. Yet he'd howled with him in the night and tasted blood in his wolf dreams. Part of you is summer, and part of summer is you. You know that, Bran. We all know what's happening, including Bran.
Oh yeah.
Jojen, up the tree. There's no need. Today is not the day I die. Do it, she screamed, and her brother scrambled up the trunk of the weirwood, using the face for his handholds. The direwolves closed. Mira abandoned her spear and net, jumped up, and grabbed the branch above her head. Shaggy's jaws snapped shut beneath her ankle as she swung up and over the limb. Summer sat back on his haunches and howled while Shaggy Dog worried the net, shaking it in his teeth. Only then did Bran remember that they were not alone. He cupped hands around his mouth. Hodor, he shouted. Hodor! Hodor! He was badly frightened and somehow ashamed. They won't hurt Hodor, he assured his treed friends. A few moments passed before they heard a tuneless humming. Hodor arrived half-dressed and mud-spattered from his visit to the hot pools, but Bran had never been so glad to see him. Hodor, help me! Chase off the wolves! Chase them off! Hodor went to it gleefully, waving his arms and stamping his huge feet, shouting, Hodor, Hodor! Running first at one wolf and then the other. Shaggy Dog was the first to flee, sinking back into the foliage with a final snarl. When Summer had enough, he came back to Bran and lay down beside him. No sooner did Mira touch ground than she snatched up her spear and net again. Jojen never took his eyes off Summer. We will talk again, he promised Bran. It was the wolves, it wasn't me. He did not understand why they'd gotten so wild. Maybe Maester Luwin is right to lock them in the Godswood. Hodor, he said, bring me to Maester Luwin. I might have been overwhelmed, and I'm quite a bit older than 9.
Yeah. There was a little bit of foreshadowing there as Bran is speaking Hodor speak. Hodor. 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 Uh, basically making a
Right,
Hodor sentence just for
right,
him.
right. And you've also got the other language there with the direwolf is interesting to sort of tying the direwolf to the others in a sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mira says,
Mira says her brother has the green sight. Maester Luwin scratched the side of his nose with his writing quill. Does she now? He nodded. You told me that the children of the forest had the green sight. I remember. Some claimed to have that power. Their wise men were called green seers. Was it magic? Call it that for want of a better word if you must. At heart it was only a different sort of knowledge. What was it? Luwin set down his quill. No one truly knows, Bran. The children are gone from the world, and their wisdom with them. It had to do with the faces in the trees, we think. The first men believed that the green seers could see through the eyes of the weirwoods. That was why they cut down the trees whenever they warred upon the children. Supposedly, the green seers also had power over the beasts of the wood and the birds in the trees. Even fish. Does the Reed boy claim such powers? No, I don't think. But he has dreams that come true sometimes, Mira says. All of us have dreams that come true sometimes. You dreamed of your Lord Father in the crypts before we knew he was dead. Remember? Rickon did too. We dreamed the same dream. Call it green sight, if you wish. But remember as well all those tens of thousands of dreams that you and Rickon have dreamed that did not come true. Do you perchance recall what I taught you about the chain collar that every maester wears? Bran thought for a moment, trying to remember. A maester forges his chain in the citadel of Oldtown. It's a chain because you swear to serve, and it's made of different metals because you serve the realm, and the realm has different sorts of people. Every time you learn something, you get another link. Black iron is for ravenry, silver for healing, gold for sums and numbers. I don't remember them all. Lowen slid a finger up under his collar and began to turn it inch by inch. He had a thick neck for a small man, and the chain was tight, but a few pulls had it all the way around. This is Valerian steel, he said, when the link of dark gray metal lay against the apple of his throat. Only one maester in 100 wears such a link. This signifies that I have studied what the Citadel calls the higher mysteries. Magic, for want of a better word. A fascinating pursuit, but of small use, which is why so few maesters trouble themselves with it. All those who study the higher mysteries try their own hand at spells, sooner or late. I yielded to the temptation too, I must confess it. Well, I was a boy, and what boy does not secretly wish to find hidden powers in himself? I got no more from my efforts than 1,000 boys before me and 1,000 since. Sad to say, magic does not work. So one thing I noticed there, apples in the story probably signify the fruit of knowledge, right?
Right.
So he turns it to his Adam's apple, right?
Right. That's pretty
Forbidden
good
fruit.
catch. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I just was like, oh, that's weird. Why did he include that? I'm like, oh, that's why he includes that. Anyway,
The
so if this were a story about without magic, this would be like maybe the best quote in the whole story. Sad to say this is just wrong, but but it's a
yeah.
wonderful quote.
Well, I mean,
This is the real world.
I do like that the line of use the word magic for lack of a better
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
What if?
And he's sure that green sight is knowledge, right?
Yeah,
That's interesting. He doesn't say,
yeah,
we think it's knowledge. Like it's a type of knowledge. It's just a type of knowledge. And I'm like,
yeah. I mean,
that's pretty good.
there's that there. This is all basically psychic powers, telekinesis, that kind of thing. That it's not actually magic. Magic. It is, uh, for a lack of a better word, mutant powers like the X-Men type thing.
Oh yeah,
Which we do know George does love comic books, so I mean that is
yep.
good, and some of his other stories. He
Right,
definitely
and there's
likes.
also sort of an allusion to the idea that there might be some people who are special here, right? And that who doesn't dream that they're the one special person that has magic, and he's talking to King Bran.
Yeah, there you go.
If this were a story without magic, just watch the show. So they made a mistake in leaving this quote out of the show then, because this would have been a great quote if there were no magic, and therefore
I
anyway.
know that was it George himself that said, or somebody that it's a story of magic, but the magic in the story grows as the story goes on.
Oh
I
yeah,
disagree. I think there's with the exception of fire magic, I think all the other magic is still in the story. It's
right,
like the skin changing. You have
right.
to look for it.
It's more central to the story as it goes, though.
Right. It's more noticeable because we're giving more examples of it. But if you read Game of Thrones, the first book,
Yeah,
there's
the first
magic there. There's skin
the
changing
prologue
there.
is
Yeah.
prologue's pretty clear. Magic is real, and it's coming.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, it's like with Lyanna growing up and talking about how good of a horse woman
Oh
she
yeah,
was.
right.
I mean, that's a
Yeah,
skin changer reference. The same with her brother, the wolf's blood. There, I mean,
absolutely.
there's magic there. It's just you got to look for it.
Right. There are mages and warlocks in the East. There are men who call themselves mages and warlocks, Maester Lewin said. I had a friend at the Citadel who could pull a rose out of your ear, but he was no more magical than I was. Oh, to be sure, there is much we do not understand. The years pass in their hundreds and their thousands. And what does any man see of life but a few summers, a few winters? We look at mountains and call them eternal, so they seem. But in the course of time, mountains rise and fall, rivers change their courses, stars fall from the sky, and great cities sink beneath the sea. Even gods die, we think. Everything changes. Perhaps magic was once a mighty force in the world, but no longer. What little remains is no more than the wisp of smoke that lingers in the air after a great fire has burned out. Even that is fading. Valyria was the last ember, and Valyria is gone. The dragons are no more. The giants are dead. The children of the forest forgotten with all their lore. No, my prince. Jojen Reed may have had a dream or two that he believes came true, but he does not have the green sight. No living man has that power. Lewin is an eloquent skeptic.
Yeah, he is.
The crow lied when he said I could fly, and your brother lied too. Or perhaps your maester is wrong. He isn't. Even my father relied on his counsel. Your father listened, I have no doubt, but in the end he decided for himself. Bran, will you let me tell you about a dream Jojen dreamed of you and your fosterling brothers? And then Dany's womb quickens once again. Yep. Um, the waters aren't my brothers. She paid that no heed. You were sitting at supper, but instead of the servant, Maester Lewin brought you your food. What happened? So click off. Sorry about that. Straight mouse click. I have to go scrolling all the way back down to the end here. Magic. Okay, there. All right.
What's the matter?
Oh, I had to accidentally click off the note I was on and had to go back and sorry about that. She paid that no heed. You were sitting at supper, but instead of a servant, Maester Lewin brought you your food. He served you the king's cut off the roast, the meat rare and bloody, with a savory smell that made everyone's mouth water. The meat he served the phrase was old and gray and dead, yet they liked their supper better than you liked yours. I don't understand. You will, my brother says. When you do, we'll talk again. Bran was almost afraid to sit to supper that night, but when he did, it was pigeon pie they set before him. Everyone else was served the same, and he couldn't see that anything was wrong with the food they served the Walters. Maester Lewin has the truth of it, he told himself. Nothing bad was coming to Winterfell, no matter what Jojen said. Bran was relieved, but disappointed too. So long as there was magic, anything could happen. Ghosts could walk, trees could talk, and broken boys could grow up to be knights. But there isn't, he said aloud in the darkness of his bed. There's no magic, and the stories are just stories. And he would never walk, nor fly, nor be a knight. There is magic, and you will understand. So,
Greywater Fever.
Anything else? Oh yeah.
Okay, we know Bran is visited by a three-eyed crow from a severe fall and laying in his bed for a month. At the beginning of it, closer to death than before he woke up, but he's still hanging in he's got one foot in both worlds, basically, in death and in life. Could go either way at the very beginning. Littlefinger, the wound that he receives from Brandon, puts him in a almost I'm going to die type state, and he's visited by a three-eyed crow. Euron, we don't know the exact extent of how he got visited by a three-eyed crow, but he did.
We do know. But we know, two or arguably three of his brothers, right? We know that Aeron, right, had his near-death experience where he embraced the Drow God.
Right.
We see Victarion have essentially a near-death experience, right? And embrace the Red God, right?
Right.
And then I think Toodles may have be onto something in terms of the description of the High Sparrow exactly matching Balon Greyjoy, and we know that the corpse doesn't look like Balon Greyjoy. It's a fat, bloated corpse, and he's a skinny guy, right? So it would make a lot of sense if given that the one of the major religions, the one that's obviously missing is somebody using the seven, having an enlightenment and using the seven to try and take over the world. Because Victarion is basically trying to not do what Euron says. He wants to take Dany and the dragons and conquer the world himself. Right?
Yeah.
And he's trying to use the priest of the Red God to do that, right?
Right.
And Aeron is the priest of Aeron is trying to take over the world, and he's trying to do it by using religious political power and with the Drow God, right? The High Sparrow is trying to gain power and essentially take over the world with the using the faith of the seven, and Euron is clearly trying to take over the world and seems to be doing it with the magic of the old gods, right?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, he seems to be using a bunch of
so we can sort of infer from that he likely had a similar experience, given that his brothers all did.
Yeah, but my question is, the severity of the accident or whatever it is that puts you into that you could die type state that is visited, which I think it's a big red flare in the magic verse that the three-eyed crow homes in on, because that's probably the only time that he can visit you to start with Greywater Watch. What if a lesser illness that three-eyed crow can visit, you only get green dreams out of it? You don't have that near-death experience to where the three-eyed crow can fully activate or give the green side or the green seer or even skin changer.
So Bran becoming an omniscient and possibly even omnipotent God King is partially because he came so much closer to death
Right.
and in fact was permanently, permanently injured severely to the point where
Right.
he lost his lower extremities and stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
um, it's an interesting idea. Yeah, I like that concept.
It just popped in my head reading this. I'm like, gray water fever. I mean, how bad is that? He's only got green dreams.
Yeah.
Could it be? I
Well,
mean,
and none of, I mean, Victorian was pretty mean, but
yeah.
and he also has clear, strong magic arm now, right? So
Oh yeah.
so he's
Like
he's
that.
so he's definitely had some of the trade off there.
Yeah.
And so Bram being the one that's the most injured and also the most powerful would kind of match
Yeah.
that concept. So yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, it's a working theory that just started.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
It's something to look at. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, Tyrion 7 is next. Lancel goes from thinking he's Lancelot to realizing he is definitely not.
That's one of my favorite. That was really good. I like that. It sounded like something Lizzie would write.
I said right at this, I was thinking, wait, that's obviously where his name comes from. And then I was like, oh.
His interaction, Tyrion, I know he ends up being the bad guy and everything, but these first two books, especially,
he's fun. He's fun.
It's fun to read. I mean, his interaction with Lancel and the I know his brain gets him in trouble, and he thinks too highly of his thinking ability. But I mean, he's still pretty quick witted with some stuff.
But if you think about it, he's sort of a combination of Jamie and Cersei, right? Because Jamie is this witty guy who's trying to be good.
Yeah.
Tyrion is this witty guy who's decided to turn evil, and Cersei is a crazy evil person that is fun just for being crazy and evil, right? So
well, I mean, I think, I mean, especially with Cersei, I think the marriage to Robert from the very first night, from that point on, just having to put up with Robert all those years. Plus, I mean, I know that the prophecy had something to do with her development as a person. The marriage to Robert is what made Cersei mostly what she is now. I do think that the Mad King blood in her has something to do with it too.
Sure.
Just like the Mad King, he didn't start out the Mad King. She didn't start out the Mad Bitch or whatever you want to call her. But I mean, definitely as reading the story several times, I definitely see different sides. Hey, Dave Zilla, you're fine, man. It's a short chapter. We just kind of shooting the crap on a couple of things. Cookwood. Oh, wow. What are you cooking? That was, Lizzie says, that was right up there. They all remember their vows except Robert. Yeah.
Rob. So
I
think that's appreciation for my Lancelot. Definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still a pretty good chapter. Hey, Dave Zilla, what are you cooking this weekend? I know we got our last. I've been trying to do it the last 2 weekends. Our final checklist for Ice and FireCon to make sure every outfit has the right belt, the right boots, to make sure I put the Hand of the King pin on my Ned Stark outfit. And something always comes up. I got to get it done this weekend. And we decided to take at least 12 packs of Dr. Pepper Zero, so we have plenty to drink. But all right, Dave, I'm sorry you were running late there. Lizzie, we appreciate it. Lady Thistle, I know you're working on something. There's never a time when you don't work on something, so we appreciate it. Yeah, next week will be our last week until after Ice and FireCon, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Because
we did say we did Monday. The Monday.
Monday, like the week of. Okay, yeah. Okay, that'll work.
Yeah. So no.
All right, Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. Oh wait, hold on.
So Dave Zilla got a big pork shoulder to smoke for pulled pork.
Oh goodness. Now I can't. I don't smoke pork or anything. I do the pork in the Instapot, and then make pulled pork out of it. It comes out pretty good. We need our own. Yeah, there you go.
I'm check off our list.
Dorcas. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I didn't catch that one. I mean, it's so blatantly obvious that it's very.
Once you said it, I was like, well, wait a minute, maybe there should be somebody. Oh.
Yeah, that does sound good. I think I'm gonna do pulled pork tomorrow. Thank you, David. But okay, we'll see y'all Monday with Tyrion's. Was it 7?
Tyrion 7. Yep.
Yeah, Tyrion 7. Yeah, him and Arya just killing it on chapters.
Yeah, he's moving back in the lead here.
Yeah, it should catch up here in a minute too. But we'll see y'all Monday with Tyrion 7. Same bat time, same bat channel. As always, y'all have a good, safe, fun weekend. I'll finish it in the crock pot after my bark sets. There you go. Let us know how it turns out, Dave, on Monday. All right, I'll let you know how mine came out. Y'all have a good weekend. Stay safe. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye, Richard.